Counselor Lindell, we're live.
Thank you very much. Call this October 28th meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Certainly, Chair Lindell. Counselor Casson,
Here.
Counselor Faulkner, I believe, is excused.
I have not heard. Counselor Romero Worth, have you heard from Counselor Faulkner?
I believe she's excused for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Counselor Romero Worth.
I'm here. And Counselor Lee Garcia is en route. He should be there soon. Sorry, Counselor Lindell.
Chair Lindell.
All right, I'm present, so we do have a quorum.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and get started. Are there any changes to the agenda from staff?
No, Chair Lindell, no changes.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye.
We have to
Aye.
roll call. We're virtual, so I think we have to roll call.
Roll call, okay.
Okay. Counselor Casson,
Yes.
Chair Lindell,
Yes,
Chair Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
okay. What are the items that have been removed from the consent agenda?
Okay, item F, item G, and item H have been pulled for discussion this evening.
Okay, thank you. We have an approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
We have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Counselor Casson,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Chair Lindell.
Yes,
Motion
Okay.
passes.
thank you very much. We have a finance department staff recognition that'll be led by Director Oster.
Thank you so much. I'm going to make my way over to the podium.
Please note that Counselor Garcia has entered the meeting.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to do staff recognition in tonight's meeting. I am thrilled tonight to be joined by Melanie Sharp. Melanie is our payroll officer. Who, for those that don't know her yet, Melanie makes sure that we all get paid accurately and on time. Melanie and her team, Melissa and Jasmine. It's a small but mighty group, and they process payroll for us every 2 weeks. And we all appreciate that very much. So thank you, Melanie. We're happy to honor you here tonight. So I have a brief bio that I'll read about Melanie, and then we have a certificate to present, and then we'll have you come up, and if you have anything that you'd like to say, we'll have time for that. So Melanie is an accomplished payroll and finance professional with extensive experience in municipal finance, payroll management, and compliance. She oversees payroll processing, reconciliation, and timely reporting to ensure accuracy and alignment with both internal protocols and federal and state regulations. She is dedicated to payroll, issue resolution, correct and accurate work, and internal audit. Melanie is committed to process improvement, streamlined workflows, best practices, and maintaining up-to-date payroll policies and procedures. Melanie demonstrates strong leadership to her staff and maintains productivity standards and fosters a collaborative environment that prioritizes customer service across divisions. This role also involves conducting complex financial analysis, ensuring compliance with contracts and personnel policies, and providing clear, concise reporting to guide decision-making. Known for their fiscal responsibility, they manage budgets, oversee procurement activities, and ensure the compliance of all financial activities within city policies. Melanie's analytical approach, clear communication skills, and attention to detail make her a valued representative to effectively advocating for the city's financial and payroll operational interests. And prior to coming here to the city, Melanie had an extensive and distinguished career with state government, working a lot in the budget area. So she brings that expertise as well. In addition, Melanie is just a very pleasant person to work with, a real positive force in the office. Melanie maintains calm and cool-headedness under pressure, which I really appreciate. Payroll can be very stressful. It's a can't fail function. Every 2 weeks, our workforce is relying on us to make sure that payroll goes out. And this is one of the areas that would keep me up at night. I've been at organizations that struggled with payroll and it was terrible. And under Melanie's leadership, we don't have problems like that. So I'm incredibly grateful for Melanie and Melissa and Jasmine's dedication to ensuring that we all get paid timely and accurately. And when when issues do come up, they get them resolved just wonderfully and with a smile on their faces. So we're very lucky to have Melanie in the role of payroll officer, and it is my pleasure to recognize her here tonight. So I have a certificate, Melanie, if I could present it to you. It says Certificate of Appreciation. The following award is given to Melanie A. Sharp. This certificate is given to Melanie in appreciation for performance, service, and dedication to the City of Santa Fe Finance Department. Melanie, thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate the recognition, and I also want to say that, you know, our success is a direct reflection of Emily and our guidance that we get. So thank you too.
Well, that's a nice thing to say. Thank you. And I can clearly attest to how you step forward in a cheerful, calm way when there's a little tiny payroll snafu. You've been terrific to me because I've had a couple of little hiccups, things that happened that I always say only the baby Jesus knows why that happened and he's not talking. But you've straightened them out with just a moment and a smile, and you're always calm and so nice about it, and you follow up on it. So I can attest that this is a well-deserved recognition, and we're very, very lucky to work with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Madam
All right.
Chair.
Thank Counselor.
Yeah, I just, congratulations. I just want to say, I'm sorry not to be in the chamber, but what an incredible acknowledgement that was read to you by Director Oster, really thoughtfully put together, and just, I think, must be such a great description of all the value you bring to the city. So thank you. And again, sorry not to be there.
Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Very, very nice. Okay, Director, moving on, we're ready to go into item number or letter F?
That is correct, Chair Lindell. Item F, which is a request for the approval of amendment number 1 to General Services Agreement item number 23-0555 with Vermont Systems to increase the compensation by $292,985.25 for a new total amount of $441,652.90, and to extend the term to September 13th of 2027. And we have Eric Candelaria, our ITT Department Director, and we also have Brian Stinnett, our Recreation Department Director, and Melissa McDonald, our Parks Department Director, here to answer questions.
Okay, did anyone other than me pull this?
Madam Chair, or no, just you.
Okay, so we had talked about this before, correct? What changed between the last time we talked about this and tonight?
Madam Chair, Councillor Lindell, The only thing that's changed from this here is that we actually, in the first iteration, had some numbers transposed. That was supposed to be 101,000. And in the contract, it said 110,000. So we had those numbers fixed. So I believe that's why you see a difference in the cost.
Okay. We talked before a little bit about this contract and I was concerned about if we had fully vetted this software and if this is the absolute very, very best software that meets our needs in recreation. Because I think that that's really important. And question, does this software allow, like, for people that are have memberships, like say annual memberships, does this software allow that we can send text to those people as a group? Like if something happens at the center and it's not going to be open, can we text to people and let them know, heads up, center's not open?
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, I believe Brian can speak to the actual specifics of the software.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Council. Yes, to answer the questions about the tools available with Vermont Systems, they've currently been working on a software process where there's an application that'll send a direct message to the user groups. And that can be filtered down based off of what they're at the facility for. So for example, if the ice arena is closed, or if there's an emergency or something going on, we can send it to a specific subgroup. So our aquatics users, our gym users, our leagues, anything that's going on, we can filter that down, or we can blast a note to everybody. Should there be, severe weather that's causing a closure, anything else that comes up, we'll have those tools to be able to do so.
So is that currently available?
I just finished a demo this morning with the representative from Vermont. We have not gone into how that process is built or exactly how it works. We've just been verbally confirmed that it is something that they do offer. I did want to refer back to the question, is it the best software out there? In my estimation, there's some other programs that are out there that would work a little easier and a little better, especially from the staff point of view. Vermont Systems, again, does have the tools we need, but it is going to take a pretty long implementation process to get everybody trained and everything transferred over from our current provider, which is ActiveNet.
So why don't we go with one of those other systems, other than I know that it's not easy with procurement, but we've been through this so many times with software that either doesn't live up to the expectations that we have, or it's impossible to train people on. The implementation, by the time we get people trained and it's implemented, then something else changes. I mean, why do we not go with what is the very best that we can get? Because this affects thousands of our constituents.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, Council, forgive me. When I had come on board about a little over 2 years ago, it was identified how ineffective ActiveNet had been operating for the city and for its constituents. And that was a goal of mine, to find something that's going to work, to be able to communicate effectively in real time, and also give residents the ability to purchase a membership, buy tickets for swim passes, come into the facilities much easier, shorten wait times, also have online receipts, all those things that we needed. At the time, working with Director Manuel Gonzalez, it was IT's direction to move in the direction of Vermont. being at the time Vermont Systems had communicated to the city officials and to IT that they were able to build an API that would directly communicate with Tyler Munis. That led that program being chose by then IT Director Gonzalez. Throughout the time of going through the implementation process and getting everything that we needed up to speed and also implementing Vermont at the Teen Center, we no longer believe that to be the case. It requires a third-party contract to be able to communicate one-to-one with Tyler Munis. And that was something that was not disclosed in the early stages with Vermont.
That's a very bad start. So let me speak with Mr. Candelaria. Why are we going to do this when I can only tell you that I've been here for 11 years, and for 11 years, we've had more fun with utility billing than I care to talk about, and millions of dollars and millions in consulting fees. And I don't want to go down that road again. I want a software that if it takes another 6 months, so be it, 8 months. I want the best software that we can get that our employees can easily use and serves our constituents the very best we possibly can.
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, I couldn't agree with you more. That's why after, when it was pulled the first time to ask that very question, typically, or more better to say that IT should not be making business decisions in identifying what software people should be using. That's up to the business to tell us what they want and for us to try to find a way to implement it to our best of our ability. I met with all the key stakeholders and said, look, if this is not the software that you guys want, I don't want to implement something twice. As we discussed, and they all agreed that that's probably the best way we should go. There are some time constraints that have to deal with our current ActiveNet application that is currently there. It's quite old. In order for us to update it to its latest, greatest, we'd have to update the infrastructure as well, which in preliminary quotes I've seen in the past, that has been hundreds of thousands of dollars for us to do that. So because of our time constraint, we are in our last year of agreement with ActiveNet. And for that is one reason that at this point, we still want to continue to move forward as we find those answers, but we don't want to restart the process. If by chance ActiveNet says they won't enter into a new year agreement with us because of our upgrade version of our current application, we want to still be able to provide the constituents a tool to do the things that Director Stindent had talked about.
Or we're talking about, so this is 440,000 over 3 years, right?
Madam Counselor, yes.
So 140,000 a year on this.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
to upgrade the system that we currently have, which I don't know if we like it or not, that's going to be hundreds of thousands to just upgrade it for another year.
Yes. Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, yes. So because of the age of the current ActiveNet system, it is quite behind as far as its current version. So when we've asked them about the pathway to upgrade to its latest version, they want us to upgrade the infrastructure that it sits on, because those are actually Windows 7 machines, which are a huge security risk to us. Yes. So we have to identify with ActiveNet if they're willing to do an extended 1-year agreement with us, which will give us the opportunity to go back out to RFP to get a system that is what the stakeholders want.
So I'm probably hearing you incorrectly. Are you saying that we should not do this contract, that we should upgrade what we have for 1 year, and in that year be looking and getting the system that we really want?
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, what we're trying to do is figure out or request from ActiveNet if they can support us an additional year without having to upgrade while we go through the RFP process to find a tool that is sufficient to meet the needs of the department.
Worries me that if we pass this, we're already on the road to getting a system that we don't want.
Well, Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, I would say that we're continuing this process, that in the event that we can't upgrade, or in the event that we can't extend our current contract an additional year, a 1 year implementation for a new software system, or not even 1 year. I think we're talking maybe 6 months to implement a new tool, going out to RFP, procurement and all that would be probably impossible.
So if we can't use the current, if we can't upgrade to a point where we can use the current system for a year and we approve this contract, how long first of all, everybody has to learn a complicated new system, correct?
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, I agree.
This is not good.
This is not something that we wanted to do to begin with. You know, when you ask that question at quality of life of who picked the application, my response from my background and my history is the business picked that program. I found out that night that it was actually IT that picked that program, and we shouldn't have been in part of that decision process.
What if we don't approve this and then we're going to try to extend for a year and immediately start the process of trying to get what we really want, correct?
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, I believe the business can speak to that piece of it. My recommendation is trying to look through ActiveNet to see if they can extend our agreement for 1 year, which at that point, we can then begin the RFP process and put in an application that is worthy of the department or the city's dollars.
So is the system that we're on right now, is it a subscription system?
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, are you speaking of the ActiveNet system? So that's not a subscription, that's an on-prem, which is another reason we want to move away from it besides the age of the hardware itself. That is that and the age of the software that is currently on.
Okay, so worst case scenario with that, we stick with what we have right now, which we don't like and we know is antiquated and it's not meeting our needs, but it would only be for 1 year while we get in place the system that we really want. That's scenario A, okay? Scenario B, we approve this and we move into this Vermont Systems, which takes a lot of training for staff, is not easy, and we muddle around with this system for a year while we're getting an RFP for another system, which that scenario makes no sense to me whatsoever. I do not like that scenario.
So
That means staff has the pleasure of learning 2 new systems 2 years in a row. And I think that's a lot on people.
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell. I think part of, there's another piece to that too, which is the ActiveNet application that it currently sits on. If we aren't able to renew because of an upgrade issue, then it won't be supported software. And so then we're kind of limiting to if there is a hardware issue or something wrong with the software, we won't be able to get the support that we need to fix it, basically. This approach, while it's not ideal, it is not something that I would ever recommend everywhere. This one will allow us to at least the current Vermont Systems integration is about 85% complete. This contract amendment is basically to add the support years for an additional 3 years so we can lock in that price point.
Okay. That's all different. So are we currently using the Vermont system?
We are Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, we are using that in the recreation or in the Parks Department at the teen center. So it is actively being used.
And so if we approve this, we're going to be using it for 3 more years.
Madam Chair, Councilor Lindell, that's what the contract stated for. Doesn't mean we have to use it for 3 years.
Let's have it for 1 year. Let's put the pressure on ourselves and not be committed to a system that we don't think is the best system that's going to work the best for us. How does Recreation and Parks feel about that? I mean, we're talking about for almost $450,000 here for something we don't want.
Madam Chair, if I may, our current ActiveNet software is not a user-based software. Only staff use it right now. So there is no public interface with what we utilize. So all of our transactions are one-to-one customer service transactions in the building. And the only thing that we have access to is just customer information, but no tools to send out information and everything else. Vermont Systems, as Director Candelaria had stated, it is a system that works for what we need now, and it is better than ActiveNet in terms of its newness and its ability to allow one-to-one user information, right? Users will be able to go online and see when the pool is open or when it's closed, if they want to reserve lanes, if they want to reserve gym space, if they want to buy memberships. Those are things that staff will have to learn to do and be trained to do. And comparison from ActiveNet to Vermont is easier than ActiveNet. It's just we've used it for 20 some years, which is why users are comfortable with it. Do I think that there is better out there? Yes. Do I think that Vermont has what we need to accomplish our goals? I also believe that that is true.
Okay, Ms. McDonald, please weigh in on this.
Counselor, thank you so much for your question. Parks is actually using it in a very limited way. Recreation is going to be utilizing it more because, you know, the golf course has its own system. So we're not blending it. When we first started this process, they were kind of involved in it, which made Vermont seem better. My folks are about 80% trained on the Vermont system for our permits for parks. That team is comfortable with the Vermont program. We also, though, would be perfectly comfortable retraining into another system because it's a very small team. I'm more interested in being on the same system that recreation is on so that there's no conflicts between. It does sound like the recreation side has more complexities that some other systems might be better suited for, you know, another type of system. And we are kind of in a strange crossroads because we have, you know, a little bit of a lull if we drop this contract. So I think we're all hoping that perhaps we'd move forward and we maybe it'll go forward more quickly than we anticipate. But if we don't do anything, then we're just kind of starting all over. And so I'm kind of torn as to whether or not we should move forward. I mean, in my shop, I think it's going to be fine either way we go.
Okay. I mean, my feeling is that we're gonna pass this. But I also don't feel like this is a very good situation. In fact, I think it's a pretty bad situation. And I would ask you, all three of you, because I think that you're the major drivers on this, that we put our efforts and attention to, and not put it off, to serving our constituents the very, very, very best way that we can. And clearly what I'm hearing is we can limp along with this system, and it's better than what we have now, but it's not what we aspire to. Am I right? Everybody's nodding their head. We got kind of a yes.
Madam,
Kind of one of these from you, Melissa. Where are we? Okay, I'm just, I'll get to her. Yeah, thank you. I just, I don't want this to fall through the cracks. It's too important. It's too important to too many people. And I want us to do the best we can. That's who we aspire to be, and that is who we are. And we've been through these situations, like I said, utility billing has just, I mean, I don't think there's at this point in time, I've been here 11 years. It's been going on for 11 years. And certainly for every other counselor that sits on this council, I know it's going on for their tenure. And it's been disappointing to everyone and inexplicably expensive. So I'm going to turn this over to Councilor Romero Worth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of it's not an ideal situation, but it does sound to me like we are doing everything in our power to make sure we are served by a system as we move our way from what we have, which is not going to be adequate, to what we aspire to, and trying to kind of patch together something that continues to work is what I'm hearing. And so while this may not be ideal, and it may be a little, well, less than ideal, this is where we are. And I don't know that not approving it would serve us, since it sounds like we've got to have something as we try to move forward to something better. So if I'm wrong in any of that, please staff correct me, but that's what I'm hearing. That's all I have.
Thank you, Counselor. And I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, I think the fire that I'm trying to light is, once we approve this, let's not forget about it.
Yeah.
Let's not just move it to the back burner and say, okay, we got this system, we're percolating along. And the next thing you know, because we're busy, everybody's busy, it's 3 years from now, and then we renew something that we don't think is really the best for us. I'm asking that we don't put this on the back burner and we move forward with getting what the best system is. That's the commitment that I'm asking for in the approval of this. Counselor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great questions. Couple of things that stood out as we were, having that dialogue with Councilor Lindell. In regards to the ActiveNet, so is the Vermont system, will it be dependent on ActiveNet being part of what we subscribe to?
Madam Chair, Counselor Garcia, no, they're separate applications that reside just in each other.
The other thing that kind of really did stand out in regards to integration with the Tyler Munis system and our other, in a perfect world, everything just works. And that's very difficult when it comes to softwares, technologies, things of that nature. And so I do have some concern in regards to having to utilize a third party, but I know that happens with software. I mean, I have softwares that I've subscribed to that. In order to integrate to another platform, you have to subscribe to their integration or their software, and they have to communicate. If they don't communicate, then you have problems. And so that being said, we did mention that, well, there are others out there. And I think going down the road of, well, this is okay for now, but and to Counselor Lindell's point, let's not forget about what we aspire to, where we're going to aspire to be and what is the best, what does work the best. Who knows, maybe this works just fine for quite a long time. But I also am in agreement that we don't want to get 4 years down the road. And I know there's no, when I'm looking for softwares in my own personal business, it's difficult to change. You have your database, you have your information, you have the training. It's like it can be a horrible situation. But yet, is there light at the end of the tunnel? And how can we achieve 21st century or futuristic type of platform that we can communicate well with our customers, with our constituents, with our taxpayers who live in the city, or who come to the parks, who go to the teen center, who are at the pools. And I think that's that is very important for us not to lose sight of, because at the end of the day, we are here trying to better ourselves each and every day. I do see we're where we're kind of in a pickle, so to speak, but can we not make the decision and pass this? Where does that put us? Does it put us in a very more difficult situation, trying to scramble to get going forward? So those are just my thoughts, and I do appreciate Councilor Lindell this and the robust dialogue. Thank you.
Okay, do we have is your hand up, Counselor Cassett?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think most points have been said. I do just want to recognize that I heard very loud and clear that from staff that this is something that was inherited. So I do want to recognize that challenge and that you are trying to piecemeal together some things that maybe would have been decisions that would have not otherwise been made. So thank you for that, because I know that's really hard when you have something and this is the current state of play, and you are trying to move us towards a better place, but kind of the facts on the ground are things that you otherwise would not have done. So do want to recognize that you are dealing with a situation that was not necessarily of your making and that you would do differently. So that's great. Learned a lesson. I'm sure in the future this will inform other software decisions. The one piece that I do want to dive into is, as Counselor Lindell had mentioned, learning new systems has been tough. We saw it was actually right before my time, but what I heard back from when we first transitioned to Munis is that the staff training was not as robust as it needed to be. I cannot speak to that actual process, but I do think that that's going to be incredibly important in how staff is supported if they have to transition from one system and then a year later to another. So that would be my only extra piece to discuss after this, is just really looking at how that support happens, how that rollout happens, how the transition, making sure it's not too fast, that there is, beta testing and opportunities for sandboxing for the staff, so that any of the kinks can be worked out before we actually go live. again, none of you, I think we're here for that. So, just want to make sure that we're really cognizant of that because it is a heavy lift for staff and it is really challenging when your day-to-day duties, change so frequently. So, any support that we can provide them in that sense, I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Counselor Lindell, for pulling this. I do think that this was a really important discussion, not just to inform this process, but how it also impacts other software updates that we're going to do with the city. You know, technology is constantly improving, and so we know that to stay on top of it, we are going to have to be either upgrading or moving to new softwares. So I do think how we look at the process by which those decisions are made can only help us in the future. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second? Thank
Second.
you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the good conversation about this. I just want the software to be as good as you guys are. That's all. So can we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely, Chair Lindell. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you. Next item is item G. You want to read us into that, Director?
Certainly, Chair Lindell, absolutely. So item G, as in goat, is a request for approval of a budget amendment resolution, BAR, in the amount of $150,000 to the city manager's budget to provide salary and benefits for the Office of Equity and Inclusion Director. And joining us on Zoom this evening, we have our Deputy City Manager, Leila Archuleta Maestas.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions on this. How did we come up with the salary on this position?
Chair, Councilor Lindell, this was based on an analysis done by our HR department. So what we went through the same analysis we do with other positions, and then we had some funding already in our budget set aside. So we just so this would just increase to give us more money to actually pay the salary and the benefits. So some of the money in the bar, you'll notice, will be coming from our budget, and then some of it will be coming from general fund.
Okay, so I'm assuming that we have a job description for this and that we have advertised for this?
Councilor Lindell, that is correct. So we did advertise, and during our advertising, we realized that the resolution had created the position, but hadn't put funding into the position. So this is just formalizing that and making sure that there's funding within the position to hire.
So this is just a comment. It's not germane to what we're being asked to do tonight. I understand that before someone tells me. I'm just concerned that this office has one person. I have not looked at the job description, but I'm very, very concerned that we have expectations for change based on one person, and that person being a director. So we don't have to have, it's a comment, it's not a question, but I'm deeply concerned about it. And do we get traction for our $150,000? Do we get $150,000 worth of traction by just having a director? So that's all that I have. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, can we have a motion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Certainly, Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Chair Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the next item, which is item H. Do you want to read it?
I'm sorry, Counselor. Sorry about that, Counselor Lindell. Item H is a request for approval of a general services contract with CTS Software for transit dispatch management software in the total amount of $1,255,529.17, including New Mexico gross receipts tax for a 5-year term. And we have Gabrielle Chavez, the Transit Director of Administration, here to speak about the contract.
Thank you. So I pulled this. I just have a few questions on it. Is this a software that we're currently using? No, it's new. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
So it's kind of a replay of what we just went through. Is it the best possible software? How did we select it? Did we talk to other municipalities that use it? Did they tell us the pros and cons? And is it something that we can train our employees in an expedient manner on how to use?
I'm going to say yes. I'm actually going to introduce you to Andrew Baca. He's our interim transit director of operations and maintenance. And he's been the person to vet the software itself. And so I'm going to have him answer your questions. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know that we vetted this software thoroughly. Because I think you heard me say, I've been around long enough that I've seen situations where we did not. And it's been like an albatross on us and we can never get away from it.
Madam Chair, Council Lindell, we've been doing the vetting process for over 2 years. We did check, we got several references, both state of New Mexico domestic as well as national. We did check for the ups and downs. We vetted over 13 other companies. This is the only one that provides all the parameters we need as Santa Fe Transit.
How many companies did you look at?
We did over 13.
13?
Yes.
That's a good number. I like it. It's really one of my favorite numbers.
It's
That's terrific. And that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Because when we get software that doesn't work for us, it hurts us on so many different levels. We don't get to serve our constituents the way that we want to. Counselors feel frustrated. It's demoralizing to employees, which is a huge issue. When the software doesn't work right and then things don't work right, that's not fair. So those are the things that I wanted to hear. I appreciate that you did that. And I don't see any other hands up. I can see one hand up, Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with software, obviously it has to go work alongside with hardware. And what, how does this work in a sense? I mean, is it tracked? I mean, are there devices on the buses? Is it something that's internally at the offices? You know, walk me through a little bit of how this works.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Councilor Lee. It's all incumbent in request of this contract. We're looking for both the AVLs, which is huge for the connection of our passengers. That stands for automated vehicle location. So that makes us visible, creates that connectivity. It also has a VLU, which is the vehicle logic unit. That's huge for us internally for reporting federally and state and city. It creates new evolution, things that we've been missing, the availability to take different forms of accounting. We're cash-based now, so it opens up new levels. One of the biggest things is This one has the ability to evolve. So we're not going to be stuck with the one we currently have that had no ability to evolve.
Good. Those are great, great attributes of something that is scalable. Obviously, want to make sure that in the future you can obviously adapt to new things that are out there. And so those are my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
How soon can we start to implement?
So it has, like the other software that you guys were discussing, it has a 45-day window to transfer over from one service to the other service. But as soon as we can get it through everything we need to, they're ready to go, we're ready to go. You're looking at 45 days all income. Get everything put up where it needs to be and perform the training.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all good luck with this. I wish all of us good luck with it. I know that there's potential for hiccups no matter what, and everyone understands that, but I think that both of you have charted a very, very good course for this, and I'm appreciative. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a roll call?
Certainly, Chair Lindell. Counselor Cassidy,
Yes.
Chair Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia, Counselor Romero Worth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Unless I'm mistaken, that completes our business for this evening. Anything from the director?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing from staff tonight.
Okay, anything, any counselors have anything they need to bring forward? Counselor
Thank you, Counselor
Garcia.
Lindell, for chairing tonight.
Oh, more than happy to. Counselor Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Counselor Lindell. I just would like to maybe, and this could maybe just this point, I don't know where we're at with our audit that will be due coming up now in December. So maybe request, maybe I can work with the chair or just ask that maybe at some point we I'm informed as to where we're at in that process and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. So we will see everyone at the next meeting. We are adjourned. Thank you.